Hey everybody, Trendy John here from Simpler Trading. Let's go ahead and get started with this week's broad market analysis. We'll be covering the 7th of December into the 12th. As a reminder, just take a few seconds, please, and hit that like button. The second thing I want to remind you about is I'm headed out this Friday early in the morning, headed down to Miami with the family, going out on a cruise, and we will be returning that next Saturday. Melissa will be here trading with you all, but just want to give you the heads up. The first thing that I want to cover in this week's broad market analysis is looking at these major U.S. economic reports and Fed speakers. Pretty quiet on Monday and Tuesday. Looking forward to hearing from Jerome and also the Fed rate decision. This is just catalyst that could push price into our buy and sell zones. Just be aware of these times and what is going on. Then on Thursday, we have initial jobless claims. And then on Friday, have a few Fed heads speaking and then ending it out with wholesale inventories. The next thing that I want to be looking at is going to be this week's earnings. It's pretty quiet. There's a few names in here that I'm obviously interested in. If you guys want to see any charts or want to know any ideas trading into earnings, please let me know. I'll be happy to give those to you. Wednesday looks pretty good with Oracle and Adobe, Chewy as well. And then on Thursday, Broadcom, Lululemon, and Costco are among my favorites for this coming week. The next thing that I want to look at with you all is going to be the bigger picture. We're going to start over here with the SPY. And the reason why I like the bigger picture is I want to focus on the quarterly to run my portfolio. Basically, if I'm bullish or I understand where the levels are to buy or sell, this is going to really help me out in understanding that. So on the SPY, you're going to notice that we are 3/4 up. This is called the three white soldier formation. This is what we were expecting. We have gotten into the 2025 projection, but we have not reached my 2025 projection for the ES futures, which we're still about 120 points off or so. Okay. Targets to the upside 694, 711, and possibly 727. Our support for the remainder of this year is down here at 611 by 560. Yes, it is some distance away. I do want you to be aware of the diversion between the two. It looks just like last year. We'll be headed into 2026 looking super strong, but also super extended. Over here on the weekly, the thing that I want you to be aware of is we hit our target. We were looking for an 85% probability of hitting that target once we got over the 618. And now you'll notice that we on the SPY, at least on Friday, did close over this. But I want to count this week for 3 days. I want to at least see 3 days above that level. And what I'd really like to see is a pivot. So let's say that this is the 88.7. I'd like to see us over that. I'd like to see us come back and test it. And then again, like to see a higher high, and that would create that pivot above the 88.7. And then I'd be looking for a 95% probability that we'll see an all-time high going into this year. So super exciting as it has made its way above this level. We'll get more into it on the ES futures a little bit later. And let's go ahead now and look at the QQQ. And when we look at the Qs, the higher time frame, again, the quarterly, same thing. We came into our 2025 projection. We could continue seeing prices up towards 629 and possibly even 640 to 650 before the end of the year. As far as to the downside, I would say on this chart, our overall, what I want to see supported going into the end of the year would be this 594. But if you want, you could go ahead and throw some fibs on the last 3 quarters. And as long as we're holding above the 23 and 38.2, it's going to be a buy the dip. Notice that our 9 EMA is confluent with what we call the golden profit level using that 50 and 618. Let's go into the smaller time frame here on the weekly. You're going to notice that we have not gotten over the 88.7, but once we do, then same thing. I'm looking for a base above there for an all-time high, and I still believe we are going to hit that 88.7 as long as prices stay above the 618, which is around 615. Our support going into this week, 623 by 620 on the QQQ. The next thing that I want to be looking at is going to be, let's go ahead and go into the dollar. So it's going to be $DXY. And on here, we're going to go into the weekly, and I apologize, it pulled up the wrong chart. And it's not going to pull it up for me. And give me one more. Let's try to get out of here. Well, actually, let's go to here and then we'll put in the dollar. We'll see if it comes up this time. There we go. Okay, so it's going to be this one here. And we're looking at a weekly. We had an inside and down formation that led us right into an inside and up. My major levels going into this week are going to have to be above this 99.5. If we get above there, I'd be careful in the market. I'd be looking for the market to go sideways to down until we hit one of our buy levels. But we did come into an inside and up, which means the market could, or sorry, the dollar could bounce here, which really just kind of goes along with my overall sentiment this week, which is going to be neutral until about Wednesday, and then I think the trend continues to the upside. Could be Thursday, but again, the overall trend is really strong. I'm still looking at buying the dips, and if the dollar bounces off of this, all I'm saying is you could see the market kind of like chop around, if you will. All right, major levels again. If we get over 99.5. Be careful if we start to break down below last week's low, looking for the market to continue to move to the upside. Okay. All right, moving on from the DXY, let's go ahead and we're going to skip. We don't need to look at the TNX. It looks the same. Basically, I'm looking for 3.8 before the end of the year, and I'm not really concerned unless it gets over 5 points. Okay. The next thing that I want to look at is going to be the skew. All right, and this skew is very, very important. As you all know, this is a very big part of my overall analysis. And when looking at this, I want to be risk on when prices come down here. Basically, we would have extreme fear if the skew ever were to get into here. It's been quite some time since we've been in there. It was actually back in March, April timeframe. And up here, this is where we want to be risk off or look for insurance in the market, especially if all things align on the ES, the SPY, NASDAQ, QQQ. Again, we haven't been up here for quite some time either. Basically, when we're up here, it's complete euphoria and again, looking to put on some sort of insurance. We've just been kind of coasting here in the middle. And so it is still very important to me. I definitely still watch it, but we're just not hitting the extreme levels like we used to in the past. Okay. All right. Getting a little future signal there on my trading view. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on from there. Instead of looking at the skew, we are now going to jump right into the fear and greed. And I'll tell you, the fear and greed has popped up quite a bit. We are going to, let's go ahead and get this over here. It was pretty bad the last couple, weeks. I think we saw the fear and greed drop all the way down to like 7. And yeah, of course, it led us right into a buy zone. It was a perfect opportunity to buy. You guys can see here, we bounced back up to 40. Not as bad as it was, but also we still have a lot of room where the arrows could start pointing this way. So a lot of room for the market to run. Again, I think it's kind of slow until about Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. So just be very patient. Know your levels. We'll buy, continue to buy. At least I will on those dips. Okay, so that's our fear and greed index. The next thing that I want to be looking at is going to be the ES futures. We're going to go right into it from a top-down approach. It's going to look a lot like the SPY and the QQQ. So on this one, we did come up and smack the 88.7, just like on the SPY. I would say be neutral this week as long as we're between 69.05 and 68.52. It's more of an intraday setup, if you will, buying dips at levels that we talk about in the room. So make sure you're in the room an hour and a half before the day starts. That's when Mel and I jump in there and go over our charts and our plans for the day. If we get above the 69.05, again, I'm looking for several days. I need to see a pivot off of here in order for me to really believe in that 95% probability that we're going to hit an all-time high. To the downside, our support on the ES futures for this week, 68.37 by 67.91. Leading here, we are 2 weeks up, and once again, we could see a third week up, but it's okay if it's not. I mean, it's been a really nice dip buy. Things have been working out really, really well. Let's go into the daily. The daily, it's all about the triggers. I use a lot of Fibonacci. I use the trendy edges, which find sell and buy zones. And these triggers here, what I like to do is when price gets there, just assess it on a smaller time frame and look and see if I want to take those trades. Again, we talk about that in the room. Or if we're not talking about it and you notice that we're hitting those levels, just reach out to me in the room and I'll give you my input on those. One thing I do want to take away from this is that we actually have moved 1, 2, 3, 4 days up. It's typical that 2 to 3 days we usually digest. Right now, we're digesting tonight a little bit. Just know that, and it's okay. It's choppy, like I said. You're going to keep hearing that from me, choppy, probably until about Wednesday, Thursday timeframe, okay? Let's go ahead and move on into the 4 hour. I just want to make sure I go over the trendy edges with you. Our upper level is 68.94. Our lower is 68.13. Our mid is 68.53. All you need to know is when we're underneath this edge, this is resistance in here. This is your sell zone. This is your buy zone down here. The mid is just kind of a halfway point, if you will. We need to get up and over this zone in order for me to feel again, good about the continued move. As long as we're underneath the edge, it's sideways to down and buying at dips, and we'll be going over those levels tomorrow morning in the before the open. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go into the Nasdaq futures. Same thing. Let's go ahead and work from the top down. All right, and you'll notice here that same thing. We're 1, 2 weeks up. The only difference, again, like the Qs, we have not reached the 88.7. I do believe as long as we stay above 25,446, that we are moving up here to 26,119. Again, for this entire time until about Wednesday, Thursday, I believe we're going to stay within the neutral levels, which is right here. I get more excited if we get over 88.7 or if we were to dip back down to the 618 or the 9 EMA catches up. Okay. Overall, again, the banners say we're bullish for this week on the ES, the NASDAQ. But my sentiment is neutral bullish. So I want to be neutral and I want to buy at dips at levels that I talk about. Okay. Moving on the daily, same thing. We got our triggers here. Don't forget, guys, just write these down. If you have any questions, please let me know. And don't forget to hit that like button. Our resistance is coming in at the upper trendy edge. And then right after that, we got resistance again. Matter of fact, I have a short trigger around here. It doesn't mean I'll go short, but just know that it is aligned with a sell zone up here. And then we have our buy triggers down below. On the 4 hour, once again, I want to go over the levels. Our sell zone is around 25,788. It was tested previously, so if we get above that, I would stay long as we can hold that 25,788. But just know it's going to be pretty choppy in this area. To the downside, our lower weekly edge, which is also our buy zone, is 25,268. And our mid comes in at around 25,530. Next I want to be looking at is Bitcoin with you. Let's go ahead and go to the weekly. You guys know that I'm bullish on this. It was a nice dip that we got earlier. I think it was an advantage. We came down into the 9 EMA on the quarterly. We got a nice bounce off of that so far. I'm still pretty bullish on it. I don't think we're going to hit my 2025 projection. That would be a really big move. I'd be really, really impressed if that were to happen within the next 3 weeks. So, I'm not saying I'm giving up on that, but we got damn close to it. 127, 138 was my 2025 projection. We may have to turn that into more of a 2026 target, but that's okay. Let's go into the weekly and give you guys an update for what I expect this week. Right here, 91,675. That's your over under. We break above that. I do believe that we can move up here towards 96 to 100,000. And then once again, once we get into the bearish golden profit level of 103 to 109, I think it could be a short setup for at least temporarily being a short. But I do believe that we're headed back up towards 121. I do think we could get up towards 121 before the end of the year. I just don't know if my projection is going to get hit. Boy, that would be one awesome move. Again, guys, I really appreciate you. This is a quick one. I want to get it, straight to the point, give you my conviction on. I do believe that we're going to be making all-time highs. We've hit almost every one of my 2025 projections this year, except for the ES futures. So it's around the corner. I think it can still happen. Don't forget, I will be on vacation once I get back. Again, I'm not leaving until this next Friday. and then I'll be back that next Saturday. But Melissa and I will get started 90 minutes before the market opens. So please be there tomorrow morning. Can't wait to trade with you guys. Let's have an amazing week. Can't wait to talk to you. See you tomorrow.